Welcome to Keto Beyond the Couch, episode 308.
I'm Rachel.
And I'm Joe.
And we are two crazy ketos.
And if you're new to our channel, welcome.
Yes, welcome. Please let us know in the comments or in the chat if you are brand new here, because we're so excited that you're here.
Now, welcome to Keto Beyond the Couch. If you are new here, Keto Beyond the Couch is all about our subscribers. We do this every Monday at 10 a.m. Eastern Time. We do it live whenever possible. So if you're new here, the way we do this is we're going to go over all of our questions and comments we found on our social media, as well as celebrating subscribers from the last week. We don't really address the chat too much during this actual part. We waited until the end of the stream, which is like the last 10 or 15 minutes. So if you have a question, go ahead and hold off until then, or use the super chat function, which is little $ thing down in the chat window. That helps benefit the channel, but more importantly, it highlights our screen and lets us know that you have a question.
I love when you say, if it is possible, we go live. We have learned that there is so much more possible since we started keto than ever before. What I thought was possible for me to do, for me to accomplish, was so much smaller before keto.
Yeah.
The thought that like we could have stamina to do home projects, the fact that we could make a healthy way of eating, work on a road trip. There is so much more possible now. And leave in the chat or leave in the comments if you're watching this on the replay, what have you learned since keto is possible for you to do, which previously you would never have thought possible.
Now, if you get any benefits out of our videos, we ask you, please do us a favor, help us grow. Go ahead and make sure you're leaving comments down in the comments section on videos, sharing our videos, liking our videos. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. And if you want to help us financially, consider buying us a cup of coffee with the link down below. So we're going to get right into Keto Beyond the Couch. We have a bunch of things. We have a bunch of errands that we have to run today. I did want to mention one thing. A couple people have talked about, he was calling me. A couple people have talked about how sometimes the audio doesn't sync up. I'm trying to figure out what's causing that. I don't know if it's the internet. The only downside to us moving out here to the country, we don't have the same high-speed internet that we had back in the Fort Lauderdale area. We're relying on Starlink as well as Verizon Mobile. Now, I do have some things coming with the help of Chris Bear that's supposed to be able to combine them to give you faster internet. But we just bear with us. I'm sorry if sometimes the audio doesn't link up. I think it's an internet issue that sometimes like there may be a drop frame, but the audio doesn't drop, but the video doesn't. But I apologize for it. We're doing our best to try to figure that out. We want to continue to do lives. I mean, the easiest solution would be no more lives, but we don't want to do that.
I don't want to do that.
We apologize for any of that. We're going to jump right into Keto Beyond the Couch. We're going to start off with this from Heather.
Hey, Heather.
Said, take a moment to celebrate yourself, how far you've come, where you are going, your accomplishments, your courage, and your strength. Never forget that you are amazing.
We have to start every single day with some sort of an affirmation, something that just becomes like how we see ourselves. There is a common statement happening all of the time, whether you know it or not. But if you want to take control of the narrative, like if you want to be the person and not just negativity deciding what that statement's going to be, you've got to write it down and on purpose begin to believe it even before you authentically believe it. Like, so when she says you are amazing, for some people, you may be like, I'm not there yet. I do not think I am amazing. I would not categorize myself as amazing in any way. And yet the factor of the matter is you are amazing. Yeah. You are uniquely amazing. There are some precious things about you that nobody on earth is able to do, is able to think, is able to accomplish. So you have to begin believing a positive affirmation for yourself.
Yeah. I noticed in the chat, Donna said, does it help to put comments in the live chat and in the regular comment section after live event? Yes, absolutely. So anything that is engagement. So if you're active in the chat, that's considered engagement. So YouTube will promote our channel. If you're leaving comments, any kind of comment, YouTube considers that engagement. It's also why, like, you know, if we go back and comment on your comment, which we try to do with ones that require a comment, that is considered more engagement. It's one of the reasons that every once in a while I will answer back somebody's nasty comment with, hey, thank you so much for your nasty comment, because it really does help build our channel. So if your intention was to get under our skin, I appreciate your leaving a nasty, negative comment to us, because YouTube doesn't care if it's nasty or nice. They just care that you're engaging with us.
I do not appreciate nasty comments, but I do appreciate kind comments. And so since this is February and we feel like this is the love month, like, let's get engaged, guys. Like,
Valentine's Day is the stupidest day of the year.
Well, I'm going to use it as a blessing, right? And so let's get engaged. Maybe that will help everybody to remember, oh, I haven't subscribed to Two Crazy Ketos, or I didn't leave a comment, but like Rachel has encouraged us to get engaged this month.
What makes no sense is that we have like 70,000 subscribers, but 70% of the people who watch our videos aren't subscribed to our channel. So if that's one of you, listen, it's free and it takes 2 seconds.
We will not come to your house.
It takes longer to wipe your butt than it does to subscribe to our channel.
Do us a favor. Instead of wiping your butt today, subscribe to our channel. What is going on? Is it the pigtails?
So it's funny that now that we're going to go off on a tangent like that, I got to turn on focus. I saw something I thought you would be interested in, that it was on something on an RV channel, and they were talking about filling the black tank, and you don't want to use a lot of toilet paper.
The black tank is where your poop goes.
Right. And so they were talking about that after being in the military, they learned how to wipe with 1 square.
We're not getting that point. I'm sorry. And I know that like conservation matters, and I will find other ways to conserve.
It's called a bidet. I
honestly have been so much better since we got an RV, and especially when we went on an RV Unplugged season 2. I am so much more of a conservationist when it comes to water. Like, my focus and my thought on water has helped me to not just be that person I used to be, where I'd be washing my hands. And while I'm soaping up, like, I've just got the water running for as long as it takes, even though I'm not using that water. So I think it really has helped me to conserve, but I will not be using 1 square of toilet paper. And if that's you, if you're able to do that, like, you have like impressed me. Like, I am impressed.
I also want to say hello to my 2 labs, who says it's their very first live.
Welcome. We're so glad you're here.
Okay, let's get into this one from Jim.
Hey, Jim.
Jim said, well, I haven't fallen off the keto wagon since December 16th, when got back from our cruise.
Yeah.
Right? Religiously logging my food intake on chronometer, working out 3 to 4 times a week, 0 stops at the store to grab donuts or cookies or candy or crackers. My daily macro targets are protein 160 grams, carbs are 50 grams, fat is 150 grams. I feel better, which will have to be good enough until I look better, and I'm comfortable with my weight loss thus far. Currently at 303 pounds, aiming for 275 by May 3rd, our daughter Kristen's wedding day, which I'm walking her down the aisle on. And he put up this little graph. And again, we always talk about, like, I'm not a big fan of tracking food all the time. I think sometimes it's good, but tracking something is great. And look at this, January 2nd and February 1st, 310.8 pounds down to 303.2. And then it looks like right around that area.
Jim, I am so stinking proud of you. And I hope if you're watching that like graph, you see the ups and downs. Like, we would love to see it where it just looks like it is a slide. Like, it is an absolute slide that has no obstacles. It is only a downward trajectory with no ups at all in weight, right? No weight fluctuations. Like, we going down and we only going down. But you can see the going down has ups and downs.
Yeah.
And I think it's very important that we know for ourselves, and here's Jim as completely like taken into account, like, I know I'm eating the right thing. I know I'm heading in the right direction. And until I see, that number, while I'm still waiting for the finish line of success, as I define it, as I'm walking my beautiful daughter down the aisle at her wedding, I am just going to believe that things are good. Yeah. That we're headed in the right direction, right? I love that.
Dustin said, the April 1st L-Carb meetup is live on Low Carb Events. I'm not a mod, so I can't share the link. Chris can go ahead and put that in there. So if you didn't know, We will be in Elkhart, Indiana on April 1st,
No
along
joke.
with Chris and Miriam from
Yes.
Keto Chow, because we'll both be picking up our new RVs from Lyons Rd, which is the manufacturing facility is in Elkhart, and we're brand ambassadors for them, so we have to pick it up there. So we'll be up there for just a couple of days. We're going up, picking it up. Going to spend like 2 days there, and then we have to head back down here. And then I have to go to Texas towards the end of April to do my solar install. Super excited about that. But yeah, if you're in that Elkhart area, come hang out with us. I have a feeling we're doing barbecue. I don't even know. I've let Miriam arrange it all. But I love Elkhart, Indiana.
Me too.
It's funny. People,
Beautiful.
when we say we're going to Elkhart, they're like, you're going to hate Elkhart. There's nothing to do there. I love Elkhart, Indiana. I do. I don't like the cold, but I love the area. And it's really what made us choose where we're living now. When we went to Elkhart, I'm like, this is what I want. I want small town living, but stuff to do and be within 30 minutes of everything. And it took us a really long time to find that in Florida, but we did find it in Arcadia. And
love it.
Like I said, I love everything about Elkhart other than the cold.
The funniest thing was we were in a gift shop at Universal Studios and ran into somebody who, I guess they must have had like a sweatshirt or something that reflected that they were from Elkhart and had been to Elkhart. And so Joe was like, oh my gosh, I love Elkhart so much. And they were from Elkhart and they're like, why?
Yeah,
Why?
What happened, I was wearing an Lyons Rd shirt and they
Okay.
wanted to know if I work for Lyons.
Okay. Because I was like, why not? It
Yeah.
is so beautiful there.
Love it. Next one we have is from John.
Hey, John.
Said the media are at it again this morning on BBC News. An expert on stroke said that one of the ways to avoid a stroke is to eat a healthy diet. Limit fatty red meat and get lots of healthy fruit and vegetables. No challenge from presenters, as usual, on the evidence that meat causes strokes.
Wow.
When are these experts going to read the literature and stop trotting out the party line? It gets my goat. Yeah, especially considering, like, again, there's no legitimate study that shows that.
Yeah.
You know, people still think, and you still see the media pushing that eating eggs causes your cholesterol to go up. Where's your evidence?
For a long time, as somebody who is like a classically trained journalist and was a journalist for many years.
Journalism is dead.
Don't say that out loud to me. This is what I'm going to say. Journalism is not dead. It is in the spirit of us to like research, to investigate. I think everybody has their own inner journalist, whether or not they have like given that journalist a job or not. And so what is it that we want from journalism? We want investigation of both sides of an issue. We want the truth to come out. We want to like do a research, and we're not going to have a thesis or you know, we're not going to have like a hypothesis ahead of time that we're trying to make the facts line up with what we believe to be true. We're going to go ahead and we're going to do the research and we're going to experiment and we're going to find out on the other side, like what is actually the truth. Right. You know, the COSI conference in Vegas is going on this coming weekend. And though we can't be there, we're so excited that this conference is going on because it is promoting citizen scientists, right? This is that kind of journalistic spirit where you are being willing to say, I'm not just going to blindly believe rhetoric, but I'm going to try stuff. I'm going to investigate for myself. And instead of just being angry that no one is presenting the truth to me, I'm going to do the research and I'm going to come back with what is the truth.
Yeah. You know, it's just interesting. I mean, you see all this on cholesterol. And again, if you do your own research and don't rely on Google, don't rely on some, you know, news reporter or that is taking fake studies that, I mean, it's kind of nonsense. But if you do your own research and literally actually read the studies, you will find that cholesterol is super important in your body. And the people who live the longest have really high cholesterol. Your brain needs cholesterol. And without it, you're not going to be doing very well. And again, I look at where did the ketogenic diet come from, like the early 1900s for children with epilepsy. So if we knew all the way back then that eating a ketogenic diet that is high in fat and very, very low in carbohydrates. And again, you're talking about like 90% of their diet coming from fat, help the brain. Why are we not pushing that now when we have all of this new technology and all of these opportunities to research? And it comes down to because financially companies can't benefit from it.
I think that it's important, when we started about saying you need to establish an affirmation for yourself, one of the possible affirmations is I can interpret data. I am smart enough, even before you believe it, to read things and to grow in knowledge. If somebody has told you in any way, shape, or form that you are not able to read or understand things or untangle information, and you believed wrongly that you are not capable of education, or like you've learned as much as you can learn, and like you're stunted in some way as far as like your educational development, that is a lie. Let us begin there, because I think for a lot of times we didn't question doctors because we put a doctor on a pedestal and was like, well, they can read and interpret things that I am just not able to do on my own. And that is not true. Yeah. We can begin to read for ourselves.
I did see that Kathy wanted to know, will the RV reveal be on Here Are Two Crazy Campers? So the main thing will be on Two Crazy Campers. I'm sure we will show it in a vlog or something like that on this channel. We try not to cross it too much, only because YouTube doesn't like that.
Yeah.
And so what'll happen is if we're about keto and carnivore and community, if we go anywhere, even like if you look at analytically with YouTube, when we start showing you the inside of our house, YouTube's like, that's not what your channel's about, so we're not going to promote that video.
Right.
It's kind of annoying. So like we will show it, but the main, like once we have it, will be on Two Crazy Campers. Now, if you are interested in what we are getting, there will be a video going up on our Two Crazy Campers YouTube channel later on today, where basically we review it and walk through it. That is the unit we're getting.
But ours will look different.
Ours is going to look different because we are paying for Lyons to make some modifications for it, for us, so that it can be utilized more for the way we need to use an RV, like basically building a studio inside of it, or a little desk area. So they're going to be making some modifications. But you'll get an idea of what we're getting, and also how I almost got out of it. Okay, so next one we have is from Joel.
Hi, Joel.
Does anybody work with their church to get people to adopt a ketogenic lifestyle? If so, how did you get started and how is it going? So we have done that in the past in our old church, and I know that you have Stacy right now does a group in her church, Easy Peasy Keto. Here's my advice. If you want to get people involved in keto or educate people in keto within your church, or it doesn't even have to be church, but any kind of local thing, I would put together a group and not call it keto.
Right.
Just like healthy living, improve your health, something like that. Invite everybody in, but focus on that keto. But if you put that word keto in there,
some people you're
going to scare people off. But just like, hey, a better way to have health or something like that. And a lot of churches, like even our new church, they have small groups. And if you don't know what that is small groups are just people who, like, within the church get together and they meet in their home or maybe in the church or something like that. Could be 5 people, 10 people, and they're going to hang out and talk about whatever it may be. Like, like Anthony will run pickleball groups, different things like that. We, when in our old church, someone had one where everyone every week brought a keto dish, and we just hung around and ate keto food and talked about struggles and stuff like that.
Well, and in case anybody is interested of like what church we've been attending since we came here to Arcadia, we've been going to a church called Fearless Church, and it is in Port Charlotte, which is not far from here. It is meeting in a high school, in a Port Charlotte high school.
Back to our roots of coastal.
But I like, helping a small group like continue to grow, and we like to help with that kind of thing. So they meet on Sunday at 10:30. So if you're looking for an invite of like, hey, you want to sit by me? Come on, sit by me. Love to sit by you.
Next one's from Tammy.
Hey, Tammy.
Today marks 30 days without diet soda for me. I've never gone this long.
This is incredible. This is an incredible victory. And it really is like cutting out like a real habit, right? Like nail biting or snacking at night. Cutting out soda is so prevalent. I'm going to say it's on par for a lot of people like quitting smoking because of the fact that drinking diet soda is so entrenched in a lot of aspects of our day. We use diet soda like as a moment to escape at work sometimes because you can't bring alcohol into your workplace, right? Like, so usually it's a sip of something sweet, a diet soda at your desk. It is something that when we go out to eat, people a lot of times see that as a treat. If I'm going to go above just water, I'm going to order a soda because we're out on a date. Like there's a lot of ways that diet soda kind of creeps into every
time I give it up, it ends up back in my life. Vicky, thank you very much for the $4.99 super
Vicky.
chat. I don't see a question from you, so if you have one, I'll kind of keep an eye out for it.
Let us know.
John did say, no, eggs don't cause cholesterol to go up, but at the moment, the egg prices might make your blood pressure go up. That is absolutely true.
That's true.
Next one we have is, I read that one from Allie.
Hi, Allie.
Are there any expecting mamas? What are you eating? I'm nearing the end of my first trimester, but food aversions are so hard. Most of the time, nothing sounds good. So I would go and check out some of Nisha's videos from a few years ago. So when Nisha was pregnant with Beckett, she had a lot of food aversion. She pretty much, her entire diet was keto chow. I know that you also have Crystal Sykes,
which she's
documented everything
and
for her pregnancy.
And so she used to have on Instagram the Lady Savage, but I believe she's closed down that Instagram handle and she is up on regular like the Keto Brick. So if you go to the Keto Brick Instagram and then you just message that like, hey, do you have some recommendations? First of all, you may see some things that she's posted already because she's pregnant right now, but she may have some other advice for you as well.
Yeah. Now, I will tell you that being pregnant, don't know what it's like, but I can tell you, I've coached some people through it, and we know several people who have done keto while being pregnant. It can be done.
Yeah.
You want to focus on nutrient density.
Mm-hmm.
Focus on nutrient density. So wherever you can, I know sometimes you have food aversion. So if you have a food aversion to chicken, don't eat the chicken. But focus on nutrient density. Where are you going to get the most amount of nutrients for both you and the baby? Which is not a bunch of like overly processed foods and sugar. Avoid all the sugars. You do not need the sugar. I know even when Michelle was going through her pregnancy and she was eating like basically meat and then having some keto chow once in a while. Like she didn't even do like the glucose test and all that stuff because again she knew she wasn't eating sugar.
Well, and I think it's important for you to keep on top of your electrolyte balance. That is something that I think that, you know, people don't take into consideration. But you think about like when your electrolytes are off, what are you going to get? You're going to get headaches. You're going to get that sick headache stomach where you feel like you just don't feel right. Like maybe you feel like you're going to throw up because it's an electrolyte balance. Also, if you're like, you're stooping down, you still have to do that even as you're like growing that baby and stand back up, you may have like some dizziness. Electrolytes are going to be key as well as like the nourishment rich food that you're going to be eating.
Next one is from Cynthia.
Hi, Cynthia.
What are your thoughts on carb cycling for women? I'm not talking about those carbs. I'm talking about whole unprocessed carb foods like a potato. So I think it's dependent on the woman and where you are in your journey. If you're brand new to keto, I don't think it's something you need to be doing.
I wouldn't do it.
If you've been years in and you're having some struggles, it's something you might want to look into
with supervision.
So
Coaching.
I would recommend check out our friend Jonathan Shane, who specializes on women, and this is something he talks about. Where I mean, we actually you can see his talk on our channel. I don't know. I don't have the thing here.
It's
from the low carb cruise last year. That was what his talk was. And that some women will benefit from at certain times during your cycle having a few carbs. Does that mean doing it every single week? No. Another person who talks a little bit about this is Dr. Jamie Seaman, who is a gynecologist. But again, it is not something that I would do under supervision. It's also not something that I would without supervision. And it's also not something that I would consider doing where you're going to say 5 days a week do this and 2 days a week do this.
Right. Well, one of the things that he says, that thing, the first thing that comes to your mind that's like, okay, if I'm going to reincorporate carbs, like I'm going to bring back this. That first thing that comes to your mind, that's absolutely off the table.
Yeah.
That's like totally and completely off the table, because that thing that first comes to your mind, that's a triggering food. That thing that you're like, oh, if I could carb cycle, this is the one thing I would grab.
Yeah, you can't have that.
That's the one thing.
And also anything that triggers emotions. Like if you have like, you know, if you're like, whoa, like I have all of these sweet feelings from eating apples when I was growing up because it reminds me of my probably not a good idea.
It's not the apples you're missing, it's your grandpa that you're missing.
Right. Next one is from Elizabeth.
Hey, Elizabeth.
I seem to remember Joe talking about a YouTube video way back when on how to use Mighty Networks. My spouse has Android and she has a button to choose a plan. I'm on Apple and I do not have a button. So Mighty Networks, if you're new to our channel, Mighty Networks is where we hold our big community. We like it better than Facebook because there's no censorship, but more importantly, there's also no ads.
Right.
And that's why we like it. We do ask that nobody posts videos on Mighty Networks
or Facebook
or our Facebook group unless they're one of our videos. So I don't care if it's Dr. Barry's video or anybody else's.
We love him.
We ask don't put videos in our channel, in our groups. And the reason is because we can't monitor everything. And I don't want to be able to, I don't want to say yes to somebody and no to somebody else.
Right.
So you can, it's just for, if someone goes, well, I have this video and I say yes. And then somebody else goes, well, I have this video. Well, no, I don't align with that. So the easiest solution for us is no videos.
Nobody.
So Mighty Networks is where we have our community. And we are all about community, and it is free to join. Members.2krazyketos.com. 90% of everything that's on there is free in there. If you want to choose to support us financially, you can join our $5, $10, or $25 group. Rachel goes live in there every Wednesday at 10 o'clock, and then we'll do some extra things in there. One of the things, though, is if you want to join, you need to join from a computer, not from your phone or smart device, especially with the paid versions. And the reason that is because like Apple and Android charge a higher fee. So for example, if it's a $5 a month plan, you would have to pay, I think it's $8 to Apple or Android as opposed to the $5 if you're doing it through your website. So you join on the website at members.2krazyketos.com. Once you're a member of the group, whether it be the free or the paid, you can use the app to access everything. You just can't join on the app. And we have that done specifically because I refuse to give Apple and Android
any more money. Right. I don't want you to be charged extra money.
Okay, next one is from Daisy Duke.
Hey, Daisy Duke. Joe, oh dear, the Cornish will produce so much poop the last 3 weeks. You have to move the tractor every day, especially the last few weeks. And you will be scraping the poop off the ground every day. They will go through a 5-gallon bucket of feed daily. I switched to the red, white, and blue American breasts. We love the meat of Cornish, but I hate watching them grow. They just look sick. Love watching you too. Congratulations on your new place. P.S. Rachel, you need to get, I need geese. They are so much fun.
So I do know that about the Cornish. I chose the Cornish, number one, based on the reviews from the breeder that we're getting them from. And it's also a local farmer. Now he works with a hatchery up in Ohio, but very good reviews on the breed that they're using, but also we chose it for the fast growing. We chose it for the fast growing 6 to 8 weeks and you're done. And this way we don't have to worry about that. Again, feed. You know, I was reading this Facebook stuff last night and you know, most of the local farmers around here and even in a lot of rural areas are only charging $4 a dozen for their eggs, even though the grocery stores are high. And somebody put that they raised their price to $5 and people jumped all over them going, you should only be charging $2 or $3 for eggs. Like that is ridiculous. And the thing is, and they're like, it's not about grocery, it's about recouping the cost.
Right.
A 50-pound bag of feed costs $25.
Right.
And we go through a lot of feed. We go through like probably about 50 pounds per week of feed.
Yeah.
And then you have to add in the cost of the coop, the hours and all that. You're not making money, but if you can at least recoup some of the feed costs, that would be nice.
I guess maybe maybe it's the pigtails, but I just don't feel the need in 2025 to explain myself as much as I did in previous weeks. I'd like to say that this is maturity with keto, but like, if you do not like the price that I am charging for my eggs, go buy eggs from someone else. That is your freedom to do that thing.
So we've been
Like,
eating
I'm not
pasture-raised
explaining it.
eggs since my second year on keto. And I remember having the conversation with Rachel that it's time to start eating a better quality egg. Go from the 79-cent a dozen eggs that we were getting at Aldi up to like Vital Farms pasture-raised eggs. And that was going from 79 cents to $6 a dozen. And she was like, what are you smoking? Like $6 a dozen. And now this was 7 years ago. And I looked at it, it's 50 cents an egg. And when you look at egg is the best, healthiest food that you can eat. It's got all of the vitamins and nutrients that you need in the right proportions. I mean, eggs literally bring life. I'm like, it's still the cheapest form of protein that you can get. I mean, a dozen eggs a day at $6 is pretty inexpensive. And that would be enough food for you when you add in some butter and stuff like that for an entire day worth of food. But we were paying $6 for store-bought pasture-raised eggs 8 years ago.
The difference is,
And so if I'm cheaper than what the pasture-raised eggs were 8 years ago, what is the big deal? My whole hope is that as egg prices in grocery stores come down, the people who are out there right now seeking out local farmers like us who have eggs, that they continue to do that and don't go back to the grocery stores and support feedlot chickens.
the difference is that you are my spouse. And so we do have discussions where you need to explain to me, like, if we're making a change in our budget or like we're making a big purchase, that why we're doing that thing. Like, I expect there to be like more discord on why we're choosing to do things. But I think that as much, I mean, if it's $1 or $2 on eggs, like, I do not think that the farmer owes me an explanation for why they have their eggs
Supply and
priced.
demand. If somebody doesn't want to pay it, they won't pay it.
Right.
You know,
So
we charge $4 a dozen, $5 if we have to supply you with a carton.
I'm done apologizing for my choices. How about that? Like, it's going to affect me anyway.
Yeah.
It means that if I choose to buy eggs for $6 or $7 or whatever, like, I'm the one that has to pay that price and come up with the money. And like, I'm going to go without other things in my life. Clearly haircuts are one of them, in order for us to have other things.
Right.
But like, that's my choice.
Yeah. Next one is from Carrie.
Hey, Carrie.
Carrie said, Western New York, Southern Ontario meetup. Oh, wait. Oh, that should not have it. It was just the picture.
The picture is what you're looking
I don't know
for.
why this is in here, but she just had this thing of life doesn't begin at 30, 40, or 50. It really begins when you decide to stop pleasing the audience.
Okay. I had no idea.
I'm going to have to edit that out. But yeah, so the wording was from last week, but it's the right person with the right picture.
Joe picks the comments.
Yeah.
I had no idea that
It was late.
was going to be part of the comments, but it exactly emphasizes exactly what I'm saying. Like, it's your choice. Your choice. Like, today is the day where I am not explaining my choices anymore. I'm just making them.
Let's take a quick fade to black.
Welcome back.
Okay. Next one we have is from Demarius.
Hey, Damaris.
I have a question about intuitive eating. If you eat enough calories in the week, does it matter if you undereat some of those days? I find that some days I'm not eating enough, but then I'm more hungry the following days and I may overeat. I just don't want to lose my hair or cause other health issues. No, it doesn't matter. So kind of leads into the topic for today. Like, and I kind of made an AI. I couldn't get it to... AI is kind of weird. I can never get it to put the wording that I want right. I wanted to compare the calories of steak to the calories of Oreo. And because this kind of ties into counting calories is stupid. Okay. And you'll hear Dr. Barry talk about, you hear a lot of people talk about that.
I don't like that word because I feel like it's a bad word.
So
it's a naughty word.
Here is the thing, and we get a lot of pushback. Dr. Barry gets a lot of pushback, but you've got to understand what calories are. It is a unit of energy measurement. If you research, again, do your own research, how they determine calories, you will realize that makes no sense for the human body.
Right.
They literally take a food and put it into an enclosed glass box and set it on fire and measure how long does the fire burn. That's the short version of what they do. There are some problems with that. A, your body is not an enclosed glass box. B, there are a lot of variables in your body that do not exist in that enclosed glass box. You have things like the thermogenetic effect of food. Where is your metabolism? How busy are you? None of that is taken into account in that enclosed glass box. We are not about calorimeter. We are a human being that has a lot of variables. And the thing is to say that calories matter is to say that the calories in a steak is the same as the calories in Oreo cookies. And I mean, I think there's like 100 calories in 2 Oreo cookies. So you could eat 10 Oreo cookies.
I feel like we've done this diet.
Right?
Yeah.
So what would 10 Oreo cookies would be what? 500 calories.
Okay.
Or you can have a half a pound of beef.
Most people are going to choose the Oreos.
Which one is going to give you the nutrition you need?
Oh, if you're bent on nutrition, it's going to be the beef.
Which one are you going to crash on about 20 minutes after you eat it?
The Oreos.
Right? It's not the same thing. Also, by the way, the Oreos turn into sugar in your body. It has sugar, and then all the rest of it turns into sugar. Calories, counting calories doesn't work. What's more important is the grams of fat, the grams of protein, the stuff that your body needs to use. It doesn't need the sugar and the carbohydrates. It can create the little bit that it does need. So when you look at all that, our body does not have a shut off at midnight to go, okay, midnight, the clock starts over, you can recount the calories again. It doesn't work that way. Your body needs nutrition. You give it when it needs it, and you don't give it when it's not calling for it. So if you have a day like today, and you're like, I'm really hungry. I've done a lot of work, and I'm eating a lot. And again, even though calories don't matter, it's what everybody understands. So we'll say, let's say you eat 2,000 calories. And then tomorrow you have a very inactive day and you're still full from today and you don't eat that much and you only eat 700 calories. Your body doesn't know that one day is different than the other. It's going to look at overall. Now, if you are consistently under eating, that's where your hair is going to fall out. But if one day you're eating 2,000 and one day you're eating 500, you're fine. It's like alternate day eating. If you ever hear of alternate day fasting where you eat one day and skip the next day, when you go back to eat, you should be eating what you would have eaten over 2 days.
2 days worth of food. Like you always talk a lot about, like you like to make car analogies. And I think that this is a perfect opportunity for one of those. So like you said, you do not reset on a new day. So imagine that the last time that you fueled up your car with gas, you filled up your tank was 6 p.m. the night, on an evening. The next morning, like the sun rises and you're like, okay, well, it's a new day. So the gas tank is completely empty. And so I am going to put a full amount of gas in this gas tank because it's a new day. Your gas tank is going to overflow. Why? Because the last time you filled it up was the night before. So like you said, it doesn't like reset to nothing on every single
good. I'm going to steal that
morning. Go ahead and reappropriate it. The other thing is when you say a lot of the pushback that we get when Joe talks about like counting calories is the S word, is the fact that we've been doing it that way for a really long time. That's usually the argument. That is what I know. Calories is what I know. Well, there's a lot of things that we used to know and the way we used to do things that we don't do anymore. Like if you are like eating a keto way, you have clearly decided to go in a different way than what you've been doing in the past. So why can't we embrace like a new way of measuring it? If previously it was like, well, you need 72 centimeters of food. 72 centimeters of food is where it's at. You'd be like, well, that seems dumb.
Yeah.
And we're going to part ways with that.
If counting calories and calories in, calories out truly worked, most of us would not be where we're at today.
No.
Because we would have lost the weight the first time, learned our lesson, and then be done with it.
Just stay the same.
Okay.
Yeah.
So next one we have is from
Laquita.
Said, February, I am planning on accountability to myself, Mighty Networks, and Chronometer. I want to be able to look back and see what I ate and no sneaking, slipping, or sabotaging myself. Using my pretty dishes as I sit down and I record my nutritional self-care package being delivered to many cells that are rejuvenating and healing.
I love that. In our Facebook family group and also in Mighty Networks, I posted what I think could be a really fun Valentine like craft that you could do for yourself, and that is creating a punch card. So I love to go to thrift stores. A lot of the thrift stores, that we have utilized have a punch card situation. So every time you come and you shop and maybe you spend $10, you get a punch. When you have filled up that card, you get a reward. Usually it is an extra percentage off your next purchase after you filled the card. So you can do that for yourself. So whatever your desired challenge is for this month, make a punch card that like at the end of the day, you can ask that, like she can ask of that. Did I stick to it? Did I cheat in any way? Did I not sabotage myself in some way? And like make it so that you can either stamp it, add a sticker, add a punch card for it. And you can really ask yourself every single day, am I fulfilling all of the promises that I made to yourself? If you didn't, like, let's say I did 3 out of the 5 things, but that's not 5 out of 5, then I don't get a punch for that day. The next day, I have a new opportunity to fulfill that punch card obligation.
Easy peasy keto. Thank you for the $5 super chat. Thank you for what you do. Small groups are wonderful for the heart. Easy peasy. Might need to become easy peasy healthy.
I love that. That's really good.
I also saw from Sean said, I found that eating completely full has changed my outlook on eating. I was still controlled by the clock, eating at 7:30, 11:30, and 6. Now I look at the clock and I'm not even hungry.
I love that.
And then even Joanna had put, some days I will eat 900 calories, some days 3,000. I eat intuitively. It has installed my weight loss. I do make sure I get at least 100 grams of fat and protein daily, and I feel amazing this year. We were
talking to Matt recently when he was here, and also I had the same conversation with Sarah G. Was if I go someplace, like let's say we go to a Brazilian steakhouse, it's completely reasonable that the next day I may not be hungry at all. And Matt was sharing that when he goes to work after, maybe like going to dinner at a Brazilian steakhouse, coworkers will be like, why didn't you bring a lunch today? Like, aren't you hungry? Like, we're supposed to eat at lunchtime. And he's like, I ate a bunch last night and I feel great. Like, I will bring a lunch when I feel like I want a lunch.
Next one is from Mel.
Hey, Mel, I've been doing triple B and E for the last month. I've added back chicken and flavored electrolytes, and that seems to have gone okay. Now I'm faced with a problem of what to test next. I both want and don't want to test dairy. I want to because it tastes so good and cheese goes well with pretty much everything. But I don't want to because it's known mucus producer and I don't want it to impact my breathing. And I know if I try some cheese or some cream in my tea, that I'll just want more, regardless of whether or not I have negative effects from it. Wow. Do you hear this amazing conversation that Mel is being willing to have with herself? You have to be willing to get honest about the good and honest about the bad of the things that we eat. And you have to choose. You have to say, if she's already aware that, you know what, this dairy, the mucus that it produces and like the impact that it has, sometimes it impairs my breathing. When you see it like articulated that way, you're able to speak to that thing and be like, you know what, cheese, I love you, but you don't seem to love me back. And I am not going to choose like a texture over breathing.
Yeah.
Like breathing seems more important.
And you have to add to that if you are going to choose it, like me, I know what cheese does to me. Cheese will bloat me. Cheese causes mucus. And how do I know that? Because I haven't had cheese.
And you're very
went
mucusy.
to BJ's yesterday, and I got some Swiss cheese. And I proceeded for dinner last night to have 4 eggs, 4 sausage patties, and 4 slices of Swiss cheese. And I woke up this morning with mucus. I am willing to pay the price for that, knowing what it does to me, but at least because of doing things like beef, butter, bacon, egg, I know the consequences that I'm going to get from having that cheese. So at least I'm aware of it and I can make that decision. Hey, tomorrow, am I okay with feeling a little bit crappy compared to other days if I eat a bunch of cheese today? Sometimes the answer is, yeah, I'm good with that. And sometimes like, no, I'm just not going to do that today.
Yeah, I chose not to eat the cheese.
Well, that's easy because you don't like Swiss cheese.
I don't like Swiss cheese, but there are other forms of cheese in the refrigerator. There is cream cheese in the refrigerator. I love cream cheese. But yeah, I was like, hey, it's Keto Beyond the Couch. We've got a lot of stuff that we want to get accomplished. I don't want a bunch of like inflammation and swelling. So I just chose no. And like you said, there's other days where you're like, I'm going to choose no.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's a personal thing.
Next one's from Laura.
Hey, Laura.
Is it just me? Has anybody noticed their age spots are fading? If you look just above the top wrist wrinkle in an age spot, they used to be quite noticeable. I just realized today that it has faded.
Yay.
Is this keto or ketovore? I'm wondering if it's my collagen intake as well. I've been consuming more bone broth lately than usual during the cold weather. I'm curious. Definitely, again, we're not doctors nor the health professionals, but I can tell you we have both noticed that on ourselves and everybody else that I know that eats a keto or carnivore lifestyle, especially if you're incorporating a bunch of collagen. Getting out in the sun, having all of that. I mean, I know a lot of people had eczema issues. Keto seems to clear up a lot of skin issues.
It really does. It really, really does. Like, and it is worth it. I mean, people spend so much money on anti-aging creams and treatments. And, if I knew years ago that all we needed to do is just eat a nutrient-rich diet, like imagine how much like skincare products we would not have had to purchase, how many different like pills and potions and different kinds of treatments that you can just not have to pay for. Put it in your ribeye budget.
Next one is from Joan.
Hey, Joan.
I finished 30 days. I've lost 7.4 pounds and an amazing 12 and a half inches. I'm committing to another 30 days of beef, butter, bacon, and egg. I've been on millions of diets and food plans, and I've never seen this level of success. I'm feeling good.
I am so thankful. Thank you to everybody who joined us for the Triple B and E course. We had such a great time. It was so good getting to get to know everybody and what they use, what they leverage during this challenge. And in 30 days, 12 and a half inches off of someone's body in 30 days. I just want to say that in 30 days, 12 and a half inches. What kind of body recomposition is that? And we're talking like that's without, you're not having a surgery. There's no recovery. She got 12.5 inches off her body and she could just keep on going into her year without having to take time off for like physical therapy.
That's awesome.
Pretty awesome.
Next one is from Val.
Hey, Val.
Question. Can you go on the keto carnivore when you are still taking statins and phenofibrate? Asking for a friend, trying to understand if those drugs are meant to lower these things and if you are eating a diet raising these things. Thanks for any suggestions. Yes, you can absolutely. A lot of people are eating a keto carnivore diet on statins. Listen, here's the thing. Again, we're not doctors, nurses, or health professionals. The statins don't do everything that everybody talks about. It's a less than 1% reduction in heart disease in men. There's no studies on women. There's a good chance you'll be able to get off of the statins and all of the other stuff when you have keto. It's just like, people on insulin. You can take it, but monitor because you may not need it.
You can lower it.
Some people, their cholesterol goes up, especially in the beginning on keto, and some people, a lot of people, it goes way down. It's not just about cholesterol. It's also about your triglycerides, which the statins are not helping with. But your triglycerides, your HDL, I think those are the more important figures. Again, as we mentioned earlier, your body needs the cholesterol. But again, also, I would talk to health professionals. If you're going to do statins, understand most health professionals are going to push you on statins because they're
supposed
kind of pushed. They're pushed to do that by the insurance companies. A lot of insurance companies won't even pay doctors unless X amount of patients are on statins. It's kind of a big scam.
It's a big.
It's not always the doctor's fault. It's the big pharma and the big insurance. Big pharma tells the insurance companies what to do. The insurance companies tell the doctors what to do. It's kind of ridiculous. But I would look for a keto carnivore type doctor. Next one we have is from Jamie.
Hi, Jamie.
I gotta say, I flipped to the carnivore side on January 2nd, and it's much easier than I thought.
Yeah.
My body feels great, and the inflammation has gone way down. As of now, I'm unable to eat too much as I get full so quickly and satiated all day, but nonetheless, I'm feeling great.
I love that.
Yeah, a lot of times you find on carnivore, you don't need as much because, again, it's not about calories. It's about nutrient density and the fat and the protein.
A lot of times we think about how the thought of uncluttering our house and getting rid of stuff is really hard. I can't even imagine. I think I need all of this stuff in order to be happy. And then when you make a decision you're going to unclutter a space, once you're on the other side of it, you're like, why did I live with so much clutter for so long? I didn't need it. I actually feel freer. It looks like the having more stuff didn't make me a freer person. It actually kept me in bondage, to be honest, to my stuff. And I find that people learn that in their way of eating. People think I need the most amount of recipes. I need the most amount of diversity. I need all of the things in order for me to be happy and to enjoy mealtime. And that is untrue. We have found that the longer we're on keto, the happier we are in keeping things as simple as possible. Is it as interesting all the time to show you guys visually a bowl of ground beef with some eggs? Is not really interesting visually.
I was thinking a lot of people are oh, more full day eating vlogs. Here's the thing. Our eating is so boring. It is so boring.
Yeah.
I will tell you want to know what we eat? Here's 90% of our meals.
Yeah.
Okay. If we're not doing a challenge like beef, butter, bacon, egg, chicken wings, ground beef, eggs, occasionally jalapeno poppers, some keto brick, keto chow. That is 90% of what we eat.
90% of what we eat.
Exactly. And again, because it's quick and it's easy, especially the eggs and the ground beef. I mean, yesterday we did a bunch of stuff. I painted the bedroom. We did our live stream. We were cutting down some trees, getting ready for where the studio is going to go. And then I was like, well, I'm hungry and I don't want to spend forever cooking. Well, I've got a griddle on the side of the house. And so let me just pull that open and throw a bunch of eggs on. And then when we went to Costco, I like pork sausage. And so I just bought a big chub of pork sausage. It's ground pork. That's all it is. And then I just slice it out of the tube. It didn't do anything. Just slice it out of the tube, put it on the griddle, smash it down. And I think I cooked 20 eggs and a half a length of that. And now it's just here. So now I'll eat it cold because we were doing a bunch of driving going back and forth to Fort Lauderdale to get our stuff. And we were stopping at Wawa to get a breakfast sandwich because we're leaving at 5 or 6 in the morning. And holy shnikes. A breakfast sandwich is $5 and you're throwing out the bread. I mean, and literally, so I'm getting an egg, I'm getting a piece of sausage like this, and I don't even get to enjoy the cheese because the cheese is stuck to the bread. Because for some reason, to me, logically, put bread, egg, cheese, sausage, bread. Because then the cheese holds the sausage to the egg. But no, they put the cheese on top and now it's stuck to all the bread. But $5. People are complaining about the dozen eggs being $5. They're charging $5 for one breakfast sandwich. I mean, we tried to stop at McDonald's and somebody used our coupon ahead of us and we're like, no. But it's like $5 for an Egg McMuffin. And again, I'm throwing out the McMuffin.
Did I really fall in love with and marry somebody that says holy shnikes?
Well, I'm not allowed to say the other words.
Yeah, no, you're not.
Next one is from Suzanne.
Hey, Suzanne.
Honestly, I've learned that my body knows where there is no cheating worth it.
Yeah.
I had breast cancer 7 years ago. I never want to hear those words again. I know not all cancer survivors feel it, but for me, it is a huge deterrent.
That's the same way for me, Suzanne. I'm so thankful that you beat breast cancer and that you take your wellness and your health, like, not just seriously, but reverently. Part of my not having like a dip out of keto to go grab some sort of like sugary treat that I liked in the past is a reverence, is a thankfulness, is a gratefulness that I have for my brain health. After years of being unwell and unable to fulfill really what I believe is my purpose in life, which is going to be outside of my home, right? I wasn't able to do that pre-keto. I was unwell. And because of keto, I am able to have stable brain health that I can count on. I am able to live my life to the fullest. And I think that deserves some like daily acknowledgement and thankfulness. Like thankfulness, I believe, just like love, is a verb. It is an action word. Every single time I eat, it is with a gratefulness that I'm not just like eating haphazardly, but I am fueling and continue to do what I can on my, as far as my efforts are concerned, to promote better health.
Next one is from Pat.
Hey, Pat.
I appreciate that Joe speaks of ballpark numbers too. Now, let me say, though I've never bashed via keyboard and never would, I did do some side-eyeing inside of my own head when he would say no one should be eating more than 1,200 calories. I honestly thought, well, he doesn't know me and my slow metabolism, sedentary job, low muscle mass, and other reasons that I thought I had for why I couldn't eat that much. Turns out, he is right.
Oh, no, there'll be no living with him, Pat.
But it did take some time to believe and, more importantly, understand how to get from gaining at 1,100 pounds to maintaining at 1,900.
Oh, wow. That is such a victory. Pat, thank you for sharing that. Thank you for sharing that. You know, I'm sure that there's lots of videos. If you're new here, we're going to say some things that you're going to want to side eye. And that
I'm going to piss some people off.
That usually is okay. It is all right. Like, I think it is important, like, as a community, as a family, this Two Crazy Ketos family can shoulder like conversations. We can shoulder Discord. We can answer questions. When we say ask us anything, we mean it, because we want you to have the tools that you need to do this experiment for yourself. Right? Like, so I understand that you may be like, you know, that bald guy and that crazy looking woman, like, they don't know what they're talking about. They don't know their butt from their elbow. Stick with us. Let's continue this conversation, and maybe we aren't as crazy as the crazy ketos you think we are.
Well, here's the thing. Everything that we say and talk about is from a place of love.
Yeah.
Okay. And caring. Most of it is from own personal experience.
Right.
And the rest is from doing a lot of research. Do we get it right 100% of the time? No. Nobody does. Nobody is perfect. So anybody, if you watch any YouTube channel who says they're perfect, you should immediately unsubscribe from them.
Yeah.
Okay. Because nobody is perfect. Nobody is. There's been one perfect person who ever walked the earth. One person. That's it. Nobody's perfect. We're not perfect. We're never going to get it 100% right, but we do our best to not relay a bunch of false information. A lot of it sounds really weird.
Right.
And it's because we don't understand that. But as you do the research and begin it, and again, and we start to use logic and common sense. Again, why would we think that a 2-year-old requires more energy to move
Than
than an adult.
Right.
That makes no sense at all. Why, for some reason, media and companies that have an agenda behind them have convinced us that a 2-year-old should eat 2,500 calories, but a 35-year-old only needs 1,200 calories.
Right.
It makes no sense. And when we look at it that way, we can start to go, huh? Remember, like, what was it? Who was the Arsenio Hall? Things that make you go,
Yeah. Oh my
right?
goodness, we're showing our age right there.
Right. So and so everything we talk about comes from a place of love. I mean, we've talked about things like the GLP-1s. Not opposed to them. All I say is I really want you to do it with a medical professional, because I see a place for abuse and I see companies
Sure.
being very predatory. And we've talked to medical professionals within the keto space, and I don't want to throw them under the bus. What are your thoughts on this? Medical professionals who do think that the GLP-1s are a miracle drug, as we've said, when used in a certain way. And they've said the same thing. These are predatory companies that are skating the law.
Yeah.
And
use a doctor.
And all it's going to take is one person to get hurt because they're not really directly under a doctor's supervision, and you're going to see it all go away. So for us, we will get things wrong, but everything we talk about is always from a place of love, because we want to help people. Sarah, thank you very much for the $10 super chat. Said, I love you guys. Keep sharing the truth through love.
Thank you.
Next one is from Lauren.
Hey, Lauren.
Will the beef butter, bacon, and egg method allow you to lose weight faster versus carnivore? Also, can I have butter coffee? Yes, you can have butter coffee. B, will it help you lose? It's not about weight loss as much as it's about
less noise.
Less noise. Both can do well. It depends on what type of carnivore you're going to do. Honestly, it really depends on what kind of carnivore you're going to do. Are you going to include a bunch of dairy in your carnivore? Then beef, butter, bacon, and egg is going to be the better option.
Yeah.
Are you going to include in carnivore bingey foods? So, for example, chicken wings are very easy to binge and overeat.
Especially if you're going to sauce them. Are you going to eat them without any type of
that wouldn't be carnivore, though.
But I'm just saying that, like, some people, once you start like letting some stuff in, you're allowing the things that are adjacent to that. So, like, yeah, if you're just going to cook up some like chicken wings on your own and just salt them, that, you know, you're going to have a different result than if you're going to use chicken wings and then you're going to sauce them or have some sort of a rub.
And then the other thing is if you're eating a carnivore diet, are you going to focus on fatty meats, or are you going to focus on any kind of meat?
Chicken,
one of the things about beef, butter, bacon, and egg is that you're really focusing on fatty meat. You're eating ruminant meat, and the best two ruminant meats, although all ruminant meat is good, the best ones are actually going to be cows or beef and lamb. Those are going to be the fattiest. Things like venison and elk,
pretty lean.
It is good, but it is very lean, and you want to be focusing on fatty meats. The last one we have is from Sonia.
Hey, Sonia. Hi. I think it's great that you are addressing the issue of propaganda against meat consumption. Keto can mean so much healing and better quality of life for many people. And then people are misguided by misselected information and think that meat substitutes are better than eating 2 eggs. Fear-mongering can push many back into their health problems. My grandmother never thought about her roulade or herring on her plate and lived to be 93 years old. You're so right. When we see a statement, we have to think to ourselves, what is the motivation? What would be the motivation for Nabisco or for some sort of a company to say, this is what you need? Anything else, just a single ingredient food is not going to be healthy. What you need is this mixture of ingredients that we have curated for you. This is how you're going to have better health. Some people may believe it, like it may actually be something that they believe, but you have to ask, what is the motivation? At the root of it, at the heart of it, is probably going to be sell a product. Sell a product is going to be the basis motivation for someone saying, hey, instead of eating this meat that I'm not going to get any money from, eat this combination of ingredients to formulate a fake meat that you can only get from me.
Yeah.
Right? Makes sense.
Here's the thing is I've talked about this before. I will never publicly say on camera or in a text message what I truly believe is the real reason behind the big push to be vegan and to eat these fake meats.
But it's not an honorable thing.
But I will tell you it's not about the environment.
Yeah.
And it's not about your health.
Right.
That's not why this push exists. But the thing is they could make money. I mean, again, Bill Gates, who is not a vegan, is one of the biggest investors in his company. They want to make money.
Right.
Right. It's very difficult to make money from just a bunch of cattle. Like if you any farmer rancher will tell you we don't make money. We barely get by. You know, they don't, especially when you're getting into pasture raised stuff. They're doing it for survival. I mean, again, if you watch Yellowstone, and I know not everybody likes it, I think the storyline is great. But again, one of the things they talk about is he's doing it for the land. He's not doing it to be rich. He just wants to keep his land because he made promises to his father, and his father's made promises to his father. I mean, but you're not really getting rich as a farmer. It's you love the idea of raising animals.
Well, and we've talked to a lot of farmers across the country at different places where we've, visited, and we do see a trend in people sharing with us that this is a true labor of love. It is a lot of hard work, but you have to have just like an internal desire to do things right and continue to perpetuate a lifestyle that maybe your ancestors participated in, and you feel that connection with your ancestors by continuing or returning back to this sort of way of living. For us, there is a special meaning in me as someone that is like has great grandparents that were here in this Arcadia area and that raised cattle and raised chickens themselves, to be back in this area and to be trying to be more self-sustainable on our own. There's a special meaning for that. We understand that we had to let go of a lot of like superfluous, like comfortable things in order for us to be here. But for us, it was worth it to let go of those things in order for us to kind of return to, a more primitive way of living.
So Cynthia, this is perfect. Like Dr. Barry says, this is what I believe at the moment.
Yes. Yes. That is a great way to look at it.
Somebody said, make your own sausage. We do make our own sausage. It's just not very easy right now. So we just buy ground pork.
We do have a recipe though, if you're interested, for how to make your own breakfast sausage. It's delicious and super easy. And then once you have it, it's really nice to just be able to meal prep with it.
Joanna said, did Weight Watchers back in 1986. I still remember how hungry I was eating 1,200 calories, trying to figure out what free foods I could eat. So such wasted energy, no food freedom there.
You're so right, Joanna.
I mean, and that's the free foods is a joke. We a couple of years ago actually paid for Weight Watchers to see can it be done with keto. I mean, it's such a joke. And again, I think years ago it worked well because again, it had this community aspect that it doesn't have anymore. But then they keep changing things. And listen, most of us are manipulators and look for the end run around the rules. And when you be like, well, eggs are free. Well, that's when you have one.
Right.
Not when you have 50. It's like putting 1 tablespoon of heavy whipping cream into Chronometer and it says 0 carbs.
But then using 4 ounces.
But if you were to put 4 ounces, it's not 0 carbs. So again, this is where my mind goes, and I know I'm not the only one.
No, because I did too.
Well, if I ate 4 ounces throughout the day, Chronometer is going to tell me that I had 3.75 carbs. But if I put throughout the day 8 tablespoons, it's going to say I had 0.
Well, I am right there with you, Joanna. Like I used to curate my daily menu exclusively around free food. It'd be like, and it was talk about like a crazy looking meal plan. It was like, well, I'm going to have lettuce, bananas, apples. Like basically I was just trying to eat free foods. And then at the end of the day, pat myself in the back because like I didn't eat. I absolutely ate. In fact, I grazed all day long because that food is like, I would eat food that was very devoid of protein and no fat, right? And so you felt like you had to be a cow. You had to be eating all day long, chewing all day long, because there was never a feeling of satiation. And yet, also, what was working against me was me having this dumb thought that like what I was eating wasn't even happening.
Right. Sean said, boy, I can't bet you can't wait to get into your kitchen finished. I'm using my Nova oven so much. It's crazy. Chuck roast,
Yes.
lamb broil, cowboy roast, pork roast, 10 minutes to prep in the morning.
We miss it.
I miss it. Listen, here, I'm hoping to get the kitchen cabinets in this week. But we're at least 3 weeks away from having a kitchen, because after we get the kitchen cabinets in, we have to get the countertop. I saw over here. So Jeannie said, I've done beef, butter, bacon, egg, and I've done carnivore. Both have resulted in weight loss since I figured out that I was overeating 3,000 calories every day.
Well, see, that's good information. But unless you follow some sort of elimination protocol with food that will be like, that will actually fill you up and give you an answer of when is hungry and when is full, you'll never get that information. Like, you know, you just won't know, because like you're saying, you were overeating food, but once you go to like a carnivore or beef, butter, bacon, and egg protocol, you won't overeat as much. Whereas like if you can just utilize Quest bars or keto treats or something, you can easily eat extra food that you're not really hungry for, but you can, it will fit in because there's no shut off valve.
We'll have a Quest cup every once in a while. I will absolutely say there is zero nutrition in that. Don't count the protein in it. And I never eat one when I'm hungry.
Right.
Okay. Because I'm going to tell you now, I'm hungry. So I'm going to eat a set of Quest cups. That's like 160 calories. I'm still hungry when I'm done. I can eat about 50 of them. Right. So if I'm hungry, I'm eating real meat. I will have that as a treat, like with my meal.
But you think about like, okay, so think about, you like cheese. And usually if you do carnivore, or, you know, usually if
cheese doesn't fill you up,
if you're going to do triple B and E, if I just said, hey, we're one of Joe's favorite things right now, because we have such limited cooking appliances, is just a paper plate with a handful of cheese on it, melted in the microwave. How many of those paper plates of cheese could you physically eat?
We talk about it when we went into the grocery store. I know we're running out of time. We went into BJ. No, we went to Costco the other day. And so when we were in Costco, I mean, and then also in BJ's, they had the big bags of mozzarella or cheddar cheese. And we would a lot of times get that. Well, the last time we got it when we had the baby.
In December.
I don't know how big that was. It's the biggest bag in Walmart. Okay. It is a massive bag. And we went through that entire, I think it's 5 pounds. We went through that 5 pounds, not exaggerating, in 4 days. 5 pounds of cheese in 4 days. So when we go to Costco, and I'm like, I tell Rachel, do not let me buy that, and you do not buy it. Right. Even when the baby comes, do not buy it. Do not buy it. She doesn't need it either, you know, because it's not even a measurement thing. Again, because of the limited space, I take a paper plate, and you do it too.
Yep.
You take a paper plate, and then you just a handful of the shredded cheese under the plate and melt it down to make very similar to, if you go back years ago, we made a thing on how to make your own cheese folios.
Yeah.
It's the same thing. Only I let it go a little bit more so it gets crispy along the edges. I have not measured that. And then I will look at that plate and wait, I can still see plate below it. Let me add more cheese. And then, let me put some pepperoni on that. And then some more cheese on top of that.
But you're not getting full.
But I'm not getting full.
You're not even getting full.
And so it's just like, it's a thing that I'm not ever measuring. And I have a severe problem with it. So, but again, if I'm hungry, I focus on just meat and stuff. So Juliana was talking back and forth with John about the sausage. She said, for me, the store breakfast sausage is too fatty for me. It gives me nausea, so I make my own. The turkey stuff is too lean and tastes like sadness. Yeah. So we were walking around BJ's, and I'm like, I really did just want some sausage patties so that I didn't have to make any. And so Rachel's like, the only thing they have is turkey sausage. I'm like, ew, no. Like, that is not sausage, right? And then I found just a chub of actual ground pork. It's nothing in it. Marie said, there is no money to be made when people are healthy.
Yeah.
Big Pharma is all about keeping us sick and dependent on medication.
You see that it's like hand in hand, right? Like that it's just, they must be having meetings together. That's like, okay, this will trigger the inflammation that the cream or pill needs to address. Like, let's work together on this to make everybody sick.
Cynthia said the history beginning of these big companies was to persuade people to eat more to gain weight or to dissuade people from impure thoughts or actions.
Both of those motivations are so sinister, right? Like, aren't both of those, like, if I want to either have like a reign on some sort of like religious dogma, or I am trying to like hurt you or make you spend your money.
If you really want to be like, oh my gosh, and you really want to understand this is just a small portion of what's going on in today's world, go watch the documentaries on Kellogg.
Yes.
And you will completely understand
what motivated
where
him,
the cereal came from, what motivated him. And this is literally everything that's going on in the United States and really around the world now, where there are ulterior motives and it has nothing to do with health. His creating that cereal had nothing to do with you being healthier.
No, it wasn't. No. And think to yourself, like when you're studying that whole family, and
the guy was crazy,
and what was going on, like go back and look at that motivation. If you believe in that motivation, like when you're reading, like what were his belief systems and what did he want to accomplish in the world and people, you would probably right there at his like what he believed in, you'd be like, I don't believe in that. Like I'm not into that. Like that is not, I don't think that that's a good outlook for the future of the world. And right there, you're like, okay, well, anything that he designed or built when his motivation and his thought process began there, I don't want to follow that. I literally want to go the opposite way.
Yeah. Well, and with this, Barbara said, if it's not in the house, it's not going to call me.
That's good.
That's absolutely right.
That's a really good way to begin your keto journey.
Okay, we're going to get off. We will be back live on Thursday at 8:30 p.m. Eastern for our weekly live. Again, if you are interested in seeing what the RV, the type RV that we're getting, the model that we're getting, that'll be uploaded on Two Crazy Campers later on today. We got a vlog coming out tomorrow. I think it's our cruise vlog, if I remember.
Yay!
Right. But lots of cool things going on. And again, if you make sure you're subscribing to the channel, chatting, leave comments down below. And again, if you want to support us, consider buying us a cup of coffee.
Let's get engaged.
Have a good night.
We love you.